Good afternoon, everybody. It's good. It's good to see all of you. Um, this is the rump parliament here. The true dedicated, committed people. I'm George Gastow, the chair of the Accessibility Services Advisory Committee, and I want to call this meeting to order. Welcome all of you. I hope you're looking forward to the holiday. Looks like a few people have already started the holiday, but we've got some great business here, and let me turn it over to our clerk to do the roll call.
Members, please make your selections on the tablets. Chair, we do not have a quorum with 6 members present and 9 members absent.
Yes, and the only problem there is that we can't approve the minutes. But we can approve the minutes at the next meeting. Yes, we can. You know, I don't see changes in the agenda. I want to make sure that we do the change in the agenda that we need to do. Would it be out of order to take that on now?
You can take item 8 out of order, yes.
Yeah, because what we want to do is we want to move item 8. Let's put it as the beginning of the discussion items. Item 8 is where we're going to get a chance to hear from our MTS chair who is visiting us. So I want to move item 8. It says here item 8 is next meeting date. I think we mean item 7, committee member communications. But, oh, maybe I'm looking at the minutes. No, I'm sorry, I was looking at the minutes. But we want to move our MTS chair up to right after where it says approval of the minutes, so that because he's going to have to leave early. I do feel that we should take public comment if there is any in order where it is already. If that's okay with anybody, I'll check. Is there any public comment?
We do not.
Okay. And approval of the minutes we're going to skip because we don't have a quorum. So let's go to introducing our board chair. Stephen Whitburn is the chair of the MTS board, and why don't you come on up and you could say a little bit. It's been an honor. He normally sits here in the MTS meetings, so it's been an honor to work with Stephen, and I wanted to introduce the committee to him. We're small enough so we could actually all say hello and say who we are, but I wanted to let Stephen speak a little bit.
Well, thank you, Chair Gastow. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you. I think the number one thing that I want to do is say thank you. Thank you for your service to MTS. Your experience, your expertise is invaluable, and I really appreciate the time that you dedicate to this agency. As the chair said, my name is Stephen Whitburn. In addition to serving as the chair of the board of MTS, I also serve on the San Diego City Council, and I represent this district downtown, all the neighborhoods around Balboa Park and Mission Valley. I have a particular interest in this subject matter. My brother Mark is a disability rights attorney in Texas. He started off in corporate law but he is a full-time caregiver to a young man with cerebral palsy, and he really saw firsthand the challenges and injustices that that young man experienced, and he figured that his life on earth would be better spent in disability rights law. And more important than what happens in the courtroom, he really tries to educate people about what needs to happen so that everybody has the kind of access that they should have. So one of the, he shares stories with me from time to time about the cases that he confronts. And so often it's a case where people just aren't educated, just aren't informed about what has to be done to ensure that there is access for everyone. And people don't know what they don't know all the time, so it is just incredibly important that there are folks who not only know how an agency like MTS should provide access, but have the expertise and experience and time and willingness to communicate that information to us. So I am very interested in what you have to say and in making this agency one that is welcoming to everyone. And again, I thank you very much for your service to MTS.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And why don't we introduce ourselves? And if you have any questions for our chair, that would be appropriate. Starting with David.
Dave Marino, long-term service, and after 10 years of disability, going back to school to get my law degree.
Member Marino, would you mind speaking into the microphone? Thank
Is
you.
that better?
Yes.
And very fortunate to be able to come and share some time here on the board, on the committee, and just love being of service and love helping out the community. And North County boy, grew up in Encinitas, went up to LA for 20 years, cut my teeth up there, did a lot of stuff up there, and came back down here to San Diego to share what I learned and what I know with our great city. So very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Stephen.
Nice to meet you.
And Todd? I was trying to figure out how to get that to work.
So I'm not sure.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Todd Lordson from San Diego Regional Center. I represent an agency which serves about 40,000 individuals with developmental disabilities, and have worked at the agency since 1996, other than a year and a half that I came to work here at MTS. Actually, I had Charles' position for a year and a half. It's a hard job. Thank you for doing that. Other than that, just thank you. Appreciate your time and commitment that you serve to our community.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Alyssa Ahn, a transportation planner with Caltrans. Thank you so much for continuing to invite us here to keep up with the discussions with paratransit. It's very nice to meet you, Stephen. And I've been in this industry for about over a year, so pretty new, but still very interested in learning every single day. And I just appreciate being a part of this committee and taking back what you all say in the public as well, back to Caltrans, and see how we can be of assistance. So nice to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Casey Rodville. I'm a peer support specialist with NAMI San Diego. I've been in it for about 2 years. I feel very honored to be able to be a part of the committee and enjoy being here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jacob Carson. I work with San Diego County's Aging and Independent Services. I am pretty new to this board. I'm actually an alternate for my superior, but I'm really excited to be here, and I work a lot on our transportation projects. So it's nice to meet you, and thanks.
Great to meet you as well. What a well-rounded committee. Lots of different backgrounds and areas of expertise. And thank you again for your service. George knows where to find me if I could ever be of service to you, as does the staff. And always happy to be here at your beck and call.
And yeah, and I was going to say, Ali Poorman is here on behalf of FACT. Yeah, and I was going to suggest she sit where Christian Hernandez normally is. Christian Hernandez is on leave, on vacation. And he'd normally be here for fact. But yeah, Ali Poorman, you can say hello. And I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that wants to say hello. I recognize Mike Wygant, our director of transportation here at MTS. Any questions for our MTS chair? And this is a good opportunity if there's something that we want to put on the radar for the MTS board. And I should note that the reports we have are either the same or very similar to reports that you had this morning. But they're good examples of things that the MTS board needs to know about what we're doing. Yeah. Anything you folks want to share? Well, thanks so much for coming. Yeah.
Oh, George?
Yeah,
I
David.
just want to say I'm very active in the San Diego Community College District and working a lot with some of our groups there. I sit on a couple of committees also there. And we have a lot of low-income students, and believe it or not, we actually have a lot of students that live in their cars. When we first did our assessments of those, and we found out that almost 28% of our community college students in San Diego are housing insecure or actually unhoused. We've been doing some work to try and open up some of our parking garages for overnight parking. We're working on some of those policies. But I was interested to work with MTS and find out, I know there's a certain amount of free and discounted passes that they give to the district, but I wasn't sure who to reach out to at MTS to maybe see if we can dial in some more of those passes or maybe get a better program going, because we're such a big group. There's 7 different arms in the San Diego Community District octopus tentacles. And so if there's someone at MTS that I can maybe work with that program, or if there isn't a set program, maybe put something like that together so we've got just a flow of communication or a roundtable going, that would be really great.
Follow up on that.
Wonderful. And Jacob?
Yeah, hi, thank you. Mine is more of a general policy question. I know that starting in February, fare enforcement is going to be taken more seriously on the trolleys and bus systems. I know that, representing older adults, there's some concerns about the way that technology can sometimes work. I know there's been recent advancements in tap to pay, which has been really helpful, so we're thankful for that. But thinking about the way that scanning works and how, people may be unduly charged because they're unable to get their QR code on their pass to work or things like that. So I just wanted to kind of flag that as a potential concern.
I appreciate your flagging that. And if there's anything specific that you think that we should be bearing in mind as we move forward with that, so that we are not inadvertently creating hardship for older people who may not be as familiar with the technology, please let us know.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Whitburn. The agenda item is actually committee member communications, so I should ask if there's any other communication from committee members. Yes, Todd.
Just 2 things. One's kind of piggybacking on what Jacob had to say. And I've been kind of in communication with Amanda Denham from your customer service department. I had a social worker contact me today, and there was great concern by the person that they serve over having the, ID, the Senior Disabled Medicare ID, STM ID, but we have cards that we send out that don't have their photos on them, and we have something that's been worked out. I think unfortunately for our account or clients, it's sometimes put out the general word of these are going away by a certain date, and it's hard and fast, and then it kind of freaks our clients out, for lack of better words. So I just kind of maybe at some point want to get a little clarity on that, as well as try to, how to get that information back out to whoever may be taking the phone calls or something of that nature. That's one thing. And then the next one's pretty easy. Charles, the letter that we're going to kind of probably see later today, is there a way I can get a clean copy of that without all the agenda item verbiage on it? Because if I need to refer that out, or if there's a, if it's going to be on a website somewhere, can you just point me to it?
Yes, I'll get that to you. I'll reach out to you via email.
Wonderful. Anybody else? Well, I'll share that I attended the FACT annual meeting earlier this month, and Chair Whitburn was one of the speakers there, and you're all invited for next year. We'll make sure you to. It's a pretty good event every year that facilitating access to coordinated transportation does, and the speakers were particularly interesting this year. Quite a lot of people involved in specialized transportation around the region. I think we're ready to move on to our discussion items, starting with the capital projects with Heather Fury.
Hello. As Mr. Gastel said, I'm Heather Fury, Director of Capital Projects here at MTS. I'm going to walk you through some slides showing some projects that we are getting ready to start construction on that will improve pedestrian visual and audible services at some of our stations. So the first 7 slides or so, on the left is the existing bus stop, and I'm going to apologize on the right because those are engineering drawings that we've had to prepare with to get a permit from the city to make these improvements. But we'll be widening the sidewalk here and generally making this a nicer, bigger bus stop for our pedestrians. And by widening the sidewalk, we can move the bus bench back, and it's more circulation space to get on and off the bus. So this is a common theme in the bus stop improvements that we're doing. We do get city permits because once we want to build these sidewalks to city standards, and then the city will maintain the sidewalks once it's constructed. The bus benches and signage will be ours to take care of. So Ocean View Boulevard, this is going to get a retaining wall at the back to make room. You can see kind of a slope behind it. But this will also, you can kind of see a strip of grass behind the back of curb and the sidewalk. And so this will pave all the way up to the back of curb to allow wheeled devices to more freely move on and off the bus. Same thing here. That grassy area will be paved over to get a bus on and off, to get wheeled vehicles on and off, our wheeled vehicles. Oops, excuse me, I don't know what I did. This is a big area. This is a driveway that this property owner, has sort of fenced off, and we were able to work with the property owner, and they're allowing us to get rid of that driveway essentially and build a full-size curb. So we're going to reconstruct a significant amount of the sidewalk here, but it's going to make it much easier for passengers to get on and off our bus because the sidewalk will be at a similar level. So this is going to be a big improvement we're looking forward to. Here, the bench will be moved back beyond the sidewalk again, so it's a little bit wider of an area for waiting. And Woodman Street, again, we'll move the bench back. Larger concrete area, preserving the trees. You can kind of see both of those. We marked them out for protecting in place. And my hope is the next time, if we're invited back, we'll be able to put a picture of the completed bus stops. And that's a much better thing to look at in a presentation than this black and white, what we're planning to do. We have the contractor has been selected, and I anticipate all of these will be complete by the middle of 2025. The next series of projects are upgrading our VMS signs. That's our variable message signs. The photo on the top is from downstairs. Those are the orange and black kind of dot matrix text that tells you when the next train is coming. The sign on the bottom of the slide is the color screen messaging from the new Mid-Coast alignment. And so we've worked over the last few years to get both state and federal grants to replace all of the signs on the rest of the system. So the orange line will be getting 78 new signs. That contractor has been selected and is working tomorrow morning to get a demo and kind of do their first replacement. And so you should see all of those new signs in place by the middle of 2025. The blue line and the green line sign replacements, those were both funded by federal community grants. The designs for those have been complete, and we're getting ready to start construction procurement. So I would imagine in mid to late 25, we'd have a contractor on board and be preparing to do that work. So we're excited about that and making our whole system kind of look uniform from variable message signing. The PA system, you're going to notice a pattern here. When the Mid-Coast extension came online, obviously 11 new stations had a new PA system. And so since that opening, we've been looking for grants and money to be able to upgrade the PA system on the rest of the green, blue, and orange to mimic the technology we have on the Mid-Coast alignment. So we've got about $1 million in the budget right now, and we are going through our procurement process to get an engineer on board to assist us with identifying what is located on the rest of the system and how best to make it communicate with the new system on the Mid-Coast section. This next section is more engineering drawings. I apologize. But back in 2019, 2020, we got a grant from the state to improve the pedestrian access or pedestrian connections between Santa Fe Depot and America Plaza. There's a lot of train traffic at Santa Fe Depot, and every other blue line terminates at America Plaza, so we have a lot of people crossing the street. We have a lot of bus service on Broadway immediately adjacent to Kettner. So this photo is looking south on Kettner Boulevard. You can see that there's 3 southbound traffic lanes and 1 northbound traffic lane in the existing photo on the left. I apologize that the orientation is different, but once this project's complete, there will be 1 southbound lane and 1 northbound lane. And this project is going to incorporate a center median and some bus bays on the right-hand side and some accessible parking with the nice ramps that allow you to get onto the sidewalk elevation without going to the ends of the block. And then the new crosswalk that's kind of highlighted in the drawing on the right will actually be elevated, so it'll be at a sidewalk elevation. So it'll be a little bit of traffic calming to slow down the traffic where people are crossing there. And then I'm going to reorient you again. We're now going to look north on Kettner Boulevard. So Broadway is immediately behind the photo taker. You can see again the 3 lanes headed south and 1 lane headed north. The reason I selected this photo is that you can see the crosswalk to get across Kettner at Broadway is on this side or the photo side of the railroad tracks. And many, many, many customers that are transferring between a green line and a blue line train don't walk all the way across the tracks to cross the street to then go across the tracks again to get to America Plaza. So we spent a lot of time with the city of San Diego and their traffic engineering department to add another crosswalk, and the signals will be timed with the signals just immediately adjacent to it at Broadway. But we think this will help channelize pedestrians a little bit and hopefully these two crosswalks will make it a lot safer in this area for passengers connecting. The project also includes, I think I said, 3 dedicated bus bays. So the buses will have a place to go and won't be fighting as much with traffic and other vehicles dropping people off. Excuse me. In 2022, MTS received a large grant to improve our railroad signaling on the Orange Line. The Orange Line is our oldest line, and the signaling is about 30 to 35 years old. So we have 2 phases of this project. The first phase is between 32nd and Commercial and Massachusetts Avenue. And within that section, there are 3 existing pedestrian grade crossings. So the photo on the left is the existing grade crossing. You can see it has some jogs in it, and the condition of the pavement is probably more narrow than we'd like it, and maybe it's been a little eroded over time. So we are actively bidding for construction, but the drawings on the right show the California Public Utilities Commission, the CPUC approved plan for the revised crossing and the crossing devices that will be located at this intersection, including a gate arm and a gate that you'll have to actually walk through. So you'll notice that the buses, bells and whistles are going if there is a train coming. There's tactile pavers at the beginning and the end to notify that you're getting into an active area. And then we've got 2 others of these. This one is a zigzag design. Excuse me. The CPUC is definitely wanting us to get into a straight perpendicular crossing to shorten the distance. And we're absolutely supportive of that as well for safety reasons. So this will be a big improvement. Here, the straight crossing will tie into the existing sidewalk bridge that crosses over the drainage channel that's adjacent to our tracks out at 66th Avenue. And this crossing is at 68th. This is also 66th. I think this is actually a 68th, and it's my error in not adjusting the heading. But I just wanted to show these 3 pedestrian improvements that will help residents get to and from the system and our trains in the area. The next project, we're at 12th Imperial Transit Center. You all made your way here, which is great. Downstairs is a very busy place for us. All 3 of our trolley lines are here. We have 4 major bus routes that come through here, and we're really just running out of space for amenities for passengers, and we want to provide kind of a safer, better environment for our transfer customers. So the goal of this rehabilitation is to maximize the transit center. We're going to reconfigure some of the bus traffic flows, make the platforms larger, improve stormwater facilities. This area is at a very low elevation and is subject to flooding in some major storm events. And so by doing this reconfiguration, we think we can improve. We're not going to fix all the flooding, but I think we can make ourselves a little more better positioned for large rain events. And I think we can create a pad for a transit-oriented development project. To do all of this, these 2 pictures, the drawing and the picture on the right, kind of show 2 triangular parcels, and National Avenue runs between them. MTS owns both parcels, and we're working with the city to vacate National Avenue and reroute the traffic around the area. And the goal is, to reconfigure it to something like this so that the buses travel around the blue area, which would be the proposed developable area. The project also includes an opportunity along Commercial Street at the bottom of the drawing to allow Orange Line trains to offload passengers if if an Orange Line train is waiting to get into the station and there's a Blue Line train there, if you want to connect from Blue to Orange, you could get off around the corner and run to hop on the Blue Line train. So a slightly better opportunity for making that connection. I guess going back here, I will say we have a designer on board under contract to work on this design. We have a development partner we have one developer that's been selected, and they're still seeking a second development for this site. So I imagine in 2025, the MTS board will hear about an opportunity to extend a disposition and development agreement for the TOD area. And we'll be submitting our first set of plans to the city of San Diego to show these new traffic routes. But I hope you can see the much wider sidewalks and opportunities for more VMS signs and general improvement for our pedestrians downstairs. The last project, finally, I get to show you a completed project. This is at our Washington Street trolley station, looking mostly northwest. On the left-hand side is the before picture. There's a large wall dividing the trolley station from the adjacent heavy rail tracks. That wall probably provided some shade at certain times of the day, but what it really did was block visual cues or information about heavy trains that were right just a few feet away from passengers exiting our train station. So on the right, you can see that stucco wall was shortened to about 2 feet above the top of the platform with another 2-foot fence on top, so it meets the right heights for passenger safety. But you can tell the sight lines are much better, and you will see a train that might be traveling on that track much sooner than the previous situation. So we're happy about this. We are also, we've been working closely with the CPUC on this station and are working on getting a designer on board to help us further channelize pedestrians getting to and from this station. So stay tuned for some more improvements here. And I think that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see so many improvements. We had some improvements in Lemon Grove just a while back. I noticed that pedestrian crossings were improved, and I was surprised to hear that the Orange Line is the oldest of the trolley lines, because I always thought it was the Blue Line. Because I think they used to call it the Tijuana Trolley long ago.
I should add, the Orange is the oldest signaling system remaining. The Blue Line underwent a major rehabilitation between about 2010 to 2015, and that system got re-signaled and upgraded. So
Okay.
the Green Line's signaling is newer, and so we're bringing the Orange Line up to the standard of everything else.
Well, that's good. That's good. I don't know how many of us are Orange Line people, but that's the one I'm on most of the time. So are there any questions? We sure appreciate it. Thanks so much for the report. And next we have the Old Town Transit Center Wayfinding sign upgrade project with Quincy Forward.
Hello, my name is Quincy Forward. I'm the Creative Design Manager here at MTS. And we are pretty excited to bring you this project for the Old Town Transit Center, where we will be upgrading the wayfinding signage at the transit center. I should start by saying I'm also joined by my colleague, Brad Kane, who has been one of the primary designers on this project, and he'll be helping me out with the presentation today. So just to start as an overview of this project, and the question of why are we upgrading the signs, you can pretty much see from these photos the answer to that question. The signs have been, a lot of the signs have been out there for many years. This is one of our busiest transit centers. It's a major regional connection with our buses and trolleys, but also Coaster, Amtrak, and the Airport Flyer. So a lot of the signs have been out there for over 25 years, and we just feel that it's time to upgrade. Just a quick overview of the timeline. We've been working most of this year with the stakeholders at the transit center, in addition to MTS, NCTD, Amtrak, the Old Town State Park, and the Airport Flyer, going through a couple of rounds of designs and input from all the stakeholders. So we're at a point where we have sort of a proposed, almost final package of signs that we wanted to bring to you guys to take a look at and give us any input on. We'll then early next year be going out for procurement and hopefully start installing in the fall of 25. Okay, so we can start with our monument signs, which are sort of on the perimeter of the transit center, that are the largest welcoming signs as you enter or approach the transit center. Whoops. And you can see from this picture, thank you. These are some photos of the existing monument signs, and they're kind of inconsistent. They're not really representing what's going on at the transit center. So we felt like there was a huge opportunity here to improve these and show exactly what modes of transit are happening as you approach the transit center. Okay, so this is the first drawing of our proposed new signs, and this would be a monument sign, one of the biggest signs as you approach the transit center. And as you can see from the design, we're incorporating some cosmetic elements that sort of complement what's already going on at the transit center with the lighting and bringing in some of the wood aspects and the stonework. And also we felt like it complemented the community of Old Town to bring in this aesthetic. So getting into what the actual content of the sign, we're adding color, we're adding all the agencies that are there, all the modes of transit, and we just feel like this communicates a lot more information as you're approaching the transit center. So this is a mock-up of what it would look like from the street as you're approaching. This one would be at the Pacific Highway parking lot entrance. This would be pretty much the same sign on the other side, on the east side, as you're getting to the transit center on Congress Street. We are proposing to add a similar sign out at the intersection of Congress and Taylor, which is just another location where we can communicate, what's happening here at this transit center. And then the final monument sign is on the corner of Pacific Highway and Taylor, where we're proposing to keep what's existing there and just upgrade the communication information, which is mostly to direct cars to the parking entrance at that corner. So then we get into wayfinding and the signs that are actually inside the station. And this is sort of an overview map, and you can see we have a lot of signs all over the station. And the purpose of these signs is to help riders navigate from one mode to the other, or from the parking lot to a transit connection. This is an overview of what we have existing, and as you can see, it's very black and white. It's not terribly easy to read. We feel like there's room for improvement here, where we can add elements that just make it easier to navigate when you're using these signs. So the first of the wayfinding, we have two very large directional signs that are on either side of there's a pedestrian underpass at this station. And as you can see, we're continuing the use of color to help riders very quickly be able to see, okay, that's what I'm looking for. This is where I need to go. And continuing the aesthetic of the design of the sign, which you'll see as sort of a theme throughout here. This would be the one on the east side coming out of the underpass. And I think we have a close-up of a little bit more detail of what the wayfinding looks like. One thing I wanted to point out for all of the signage, when the accessible route does differ from the other route, say this sign in particular would be directing people upstairs, but the accessible route would be a different direction to use the ramp. We do call those out when that does occur. And for size of the content on these signs and for all the signs, we basically try to make things as large as we can. We do the best we can to get, use the space and get all the words as big as we can. These particular signs, you can get fairly close to them, but the text is between, 3 and 4 inches, most of it. So that's always what we're striving to get text as large as possible. Okay, and I'll hand it over to Brad.
My name is Bradley Keene. I'm the operational designer here at MTS. I handle a lot of the signage. We conducted a lot of site visits, and every time we were on site, we would be approached by people who were asking for boarding locations for almost all the services. So we kind of knew that while the current signage was plentiful, it wasn't necessarily as helpful as it could be. As Quincy showed in some of the previous slides, there is a lot of wayfinding signage, but it's got inconsistent sizes, things like that. So we really tried to tighten things up and make it a little more easy for people to find their way around. Can I?
Yeah, sorry.
So what we have proposed, let's see, there's a lot of these two-panel or two-sided kiosks. And they are throughout the center, and they have important rider information, but they're not helpful as far as the specific wayfinding. We concluded that a four-sided informational pillar with wayfinding directional information and arrows would help riders navigate the station more quickly. So there are several of these two-sided kiosks that we're going to replace with these pillars. They're going to be more visible, they're taller, they're located on or near the bus and trolley platforms. And it has not only the wayfinding information, but it still retains the same panel size as the two-sided kiosks. This is the first location, which is on the west side near the bus bays. This is the second location. It's also on the west side. It is near track 4, which showcases the NCTD coaster and the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner. Track 4 is headed northbound, and that was a big question we got, is where is the Amtrak headed north? So we're trying to call everything out as clearly as we can and in as many places as we can. Each side of the pillar offers specific wayfinding information that is pertinent to the services in the area, as well as directions to the other services at the station. This is location 3, which is in the center of the station between tracks 2 and 3. This is location 4, which is also near the center of the station, but it's between tracks 1 and 2. We are pulling out a lot of these two-sided kiosks, and each one of these information pillars has been set up to retain the functionality of the kiosks in that we can use the same panels. Location 5 is on the east side of the station between tracks 1 and the eastern bus bays. Location 6 is on the east side also. but it's more south. And as far as the design of these, we've tried to incorporate some of the river rock stone veneer that is used throughout the pedestrian tunnel, as well as putting a wooden cap which matches the existing shelters that are used throughout the station. And then lastly, this is a little blurry, but we can provide it upon request. This image is a top-down view which shows that we've got 4 feet of clearance around each side of these new pillars at each of these locations. So I'll go ahead and hand it back to Quincy, who will talk more about some of the specific ADA signage.
Yeah, so moving into the ADA directional, right now, you can see in these photos, we have a variety of styles and sizes. So we really wanted to bring these down to one type of sign. This is our standard ADA signage that we use throughout the whole MTS system. So we wanted to bring this to this transit center and sort of make everything a lot more consistent with the ADA signage throughout the whole property. And then going through more of the wayfinding signage, it's kind of more of the same. You'll see incorporating the color to help with wayfinding. This photo, these signs are in the tunnel that's underneath the pedestrian underpass, adding more ADA path of travel signage, so it's a lot clearer and more consistent. This is coming out of the tunnel. This would be another example of where the accessible route is in a different direction than the stairs, so that's called out. And then we have quite a few other signs that are on fences or posted around, just again, the same, you know, adding in the color and just making it much more clear which way to go when you get off the bus or trolley. This would be a sign right at the stairs with the same type of information. In the parking lot, we're continuing the consistent use of the color and sizes. Just replacing some of the larger signage by the pedestrian underpass, making it a little bit, adding a little bit more information on where you're going when you enter the underpass. And then the track labels, we're actually kind of excited to add these. Right now, the tracks are not labeled very well. They're quite small with the track numbers. So we wanted to incorporate a more consistent way to label all of the tracks in the same way. So you can see the track number, you can see what mode of transit is on the track, what the direction is, and just, again, trying to help people find the right track, which is one of the largest pain points at this transit center. And this is another new item that we're adding to help with that same problem of figuring out which track and which platform to be on is we're piloting the use of these ground decals, again with the same information, the track number, the direction, whether this is trolley or coaster, Amtrak, that kind of thing. So we're going to pilot this and see how this works, if this helps, how it stands up with all the traffic that'll be going over it. So we're hoping this also helps out. This is another, we're improving this sign on the fence for track 3 and track 4, which is another pain point for people to understand which way those trains are going. So just an improvement to that sign. The Amtrak team is also providing a few new signs to their platform to help people find where they need to board for Amtrak. And finally, this is a sign sort of as you enter the transit center from Old Town that we're proposing to add just more wayfinding information and bring this sign to be more consistent with the design overall of the transit center. So with that, I know it was a lot of signs and a lot of information, but if you have any questions or suggestions, comments, we'd love to hear it.
Any questions or comments, Todd?
Just like an IT thing, the last 7 or 8 slides on our pads here were upside down, so just
Oh.
for you all to know, whoever inputted things. But back to the signage and such, I mean, I think they're all really great and nice aesthetics and everything for visual people, but for people who are blind, is there any, I didn't see anything in the presentation about anything being built in for, somebody who may be blind and having to. So I'm imagining there's something factored in there. I just didn't see it in the presentation.
We're not necessarily changing what's already existing on the platforms with our Braille signage. So
Okay.
that will remain the same as it is right now.
Okay.
Jacob?
Yeah, I just want to say I like a lot of the designs. I am frequently at Old Town, and I found it very confusing a lot of the time just getting around. I think the one maybe additional thing is I saw there was good instances of where the bus numbers pointing to which numbers on which side. I think that's equally, if not more confusing than the track numbers sometimes. I saw you had the signs on the pedestrian underpass. I think also putting the bus numbers there, if possible, would be helpful to know which direction of bus you're heading towards. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
David?
I'm just wondering, did you do any focus groups or any studies with writers about this signage, about the designs or the layouts or the fonts or any of that kind of stuff in terms of readability, or is this all just in-house and this is what the design department has proposed that they think is the best way to go?
Exactly. We didn't do focus groups with writers on the design of the signs. We're trying to keep as consistent as we can with the rest of the signage throughout the system, but also incorporating design elements that complement the transit center. We did do some small in-house focus groups on navigating the transit center, like what people felt like was missing and what we could add and what the pain points were.
My input as someone who's 10 years into recovering from a very serious brain disability, and so I've been at Old Town and I've had trouble with the signage, but I feel like I was an art director in Los Angeles too, so I know what your job, I know how hard you've worked on this. I feel like the use of the color and trying to incorporate those logos, the way that you've done it, visually to me, it seems I can't get the information out of it. I'm so lost in the colors, all the colors and all of the different fonts and all of the different logos that I can't get the actual information. That's just my input from the presentation. And I would just say, what's existing now is very simple. I know it's very old, grew up in San Diego, so it's been there for a while. But I would say maybe just try and do a little focus groups just to make sure that really people are going to be able to, that the elderly are going to have not any trouble or confusion with all the signage. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of things coming together at these stations. And so I totally get the obstacles that you're up against trying to direct people silently. But maybe just try and make sure that these signs are going to be really legible to people. I think you did a beautiful job in terms of aesthetics, incorporating the logos, and I see where you're going with the colors, but just make sure that those words and that direct information is getting across to these people so that when they come, especially if they're not from San Diego, that they get immediately the information as opposed to, the logos. So don't want to be hypercritical about it because like I say, I know the work that you put into those designs, but just think about it from the standpoint of, young people, elderly, disabled, trying to get the information from the sign and just seeing a rainbow of colors and logos and designs, and as opposed to just the information. It's the only comment I have.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the river rocks. I guess I wasn't sufficiently motivated to find my way around, more enjoying the aesthetics. But yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. And I applaud any effort to get the fonts, uniform. definitely. Is there anything else that we, okay, good, we covered this one really well. Thank you thank you so much, both of you. And next we have a report on fixed route and trolley update with Keith Van and Aaron Pitt.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. I'll be giving the fixed route update.
Okay.
Charles Pasaple, Keith was not able to make it. So just starting off, December nights kicked off. We have a new shuttle routing this year. So far, we've provided 86 trips over the 2 nights, and some of the feedback we received are from the riders. They were thankful for the service and the improved shuttle routing. Next, on New Year's Eve, MTS will be providing free rides after 6 p.m. Route 910, it's a new route that starts January 26th. It will be operated by Transdev. It's an express service from Santa Fe Depot to the San Ysidro border. It operates 7 days a week, and it operates approximately from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Next, Route 4, the Route 4 Imperial Avenue Bikeway project. It was originally scheduled to end in November, but it now has been extended through February of 2025. Next, our hiring efforts. We're still experiencing a small shortage of fixed route drivers, and we're holding weekly events at the Bills Building here. Bi-weekly off-site pop-ups at East Street Station, H Street, and Palomar. And lastly, the training classes. Right now we have 3 concurrent classes totaling 34 student operators, and new classes are beginning every 3 weeks. So,
Every 30,
every 3 weeks.
every 3 weeks?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So those are the fixed route updates. I'll pass over to Brent for the.
Wonderful.
Brent Boyd, Director of Planning and Scheduling, substituting in for Aaron for the trolley updates. Charles touched on a couple things. I was going to mention the Route 910, which you mentioned the overnight Blue Line service. One thing to add to that is it's going to hit the key or the biggest Blue Line stations overnight. So San Ysidro, Iris, Palomar, H Street, 24th, and then a few stations downtown. So it's going to hit the main transfer centers. In addition, on the 26th, when we start that route, we're also going to extend trolley service on all the lines. Anywhere where we're at half-hour service at this point, which is typically at night times or some of the weekend service, anywhere where you see half-hour service is going to be 15-minute service. So that'll be great. That's true, except for the very last trips of the night. It's going to be a half-hour gap between the second to last trip and the last trip, just to catch any stragglers. And then the other exception is at night on the Orange Line. That'll remain at 30-minute service, and ultimately it'll go to 15-minute service. The reason why it's only 30-minute service now is because we're going to do major construction projects on the Orange Line, improving the signaling and that type of thing. Heather touched on that earlier. And we need to allow track time for the contractors on that job. So they don't have enough track time if we have service every 15 minutes. So the 15-minute service will be implemented eventually, just not yet. And then New Year's Eve, Charles touched on that. Also, one thing to add there is all the trolley lines will be extended till about 2 a.m. departure times from downtown San Diego. So in addition to the free rides, we're extending all of the trolley service. So you can come downtown and leave about 2 a.m. and you'll be able to make it home. So that's all the good news. We have one piece of not so good news, and that is the weekend of January 18th and 19th, and then the Monday and Tuesday after that. So it's Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. There is most likely going to be a shutdown on the Orange Line between Massachusetts Avenue and 62nd Street and Canto 62nd Street stations. And the reason for that is we had the major flood last January, and we're still fixing damages from that flood. There's a major repair required at 69th Street. That's been shut down entirely since that flood. Typically, when we do these shutdowns and bus bridges, we try to limit it to a weekend, but this is such a significant project that we need 4 days to repair. So doing it over holiday weekend minimizes some of the ridership impacts for a regular Monday and Tuesday. So that's going to be a significant, there'll be significant delays on the Orange Line that day. And you'll be hearing lots more about that after New Year's, I'm sure. So that concludes the trolley update.
Thank you. I noticed you timed the repair to coincide with the anniversary of the flood.
Yeah, that is true. That was not the, maybe we'll have a party when we finish that repair, but that was not the intention. We've wanted to make this repair for months and months now. We had an original plan to do it, but there were issues with the contractors where we had to delay the project. And we were hoping to do it in December, but for any number of reasons, it got postponed. And this is just the earliest that we can do it. So we'll make it just in time for the 1 year anniversary. And even once we fix that, I think there still are some issues, some residual issues that we're still addressing. So it caused some significant damage out there. I think right now we're at about $27 million worth of repairs due to the flood. So it's been a significant effort.
Incredible. Incredible. Todd?
I mean, I'm assuming that's on the website, but I just want to make sure.
About the Orange Line?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if it's up there yet. We actually just settled on the date within this week and the location of where the stations where we're going to have to shut down. We just settled on that yesterday, really. So I don't think there's any information up yet, but there'll certainly be a ton of information up, certainly after the New Year's.
But Massachusetts is on the Massachusetts is on the Orange Line.
Yeah, it's Massachusetts to Encanto 62nd. So it's just it's one station essentially.
Yeah.
So it's a shorter bus bridge, but it's going to be very significant, particularly since it's on the weekdays.
Yeah, I remember the bus bridge that we had before.
Yeah, after the flood, we had a bus bridge for about a month or so after the flood, and that was an emergency. We were operating over the road coaches on that one, which are not ideal for quick boarding and alighting. We're hoping to have articulated buses out there for this one, which are the longer 60-foot buses, higher capacity buses.
Okay. But this one it's just between two trolley stations.
Two stations.
This will be a shorter shuttle. Okay, good. Maybe there's a more direct route. I remember the shuttle route before because it was a tour of Southeast San Diego.
Yeah, so eastbound will be a very direct route from 62nd Street to Massachusetts. We'll go right down Imperial Avenue. But the westbound lanes on Imperial are going to be closed all the way from Massachusetts to the trolley station. So it's going to be a little bit of a deviation going westbound. It's going to be a painful weekend, but we need to get through it. And long term, it'll be a beneficial weekend.
Well, it's actually a good time to do it. Minimize the disruption.
Yeah, and the plan is if we get rain or something that weekend, most likely get postponed till President's Day weekend. Because again, we need the 4 days to repair. So President's Day will have lower ridership on that Monday. So
good. Other questions or concerns? Thank you so much. And I think we're ready for the MTS access update.
All right, so I want to start off with some of our ridership numbers that we have so far in FY25 compared to FY24. Our overall passenger count, our combined passenger count between access and taxi and our other subs has increased, month over month. October, we experienced the most drastic increase of about 5,000 or so passengers from September 2024 to October 2024. Our passengers per hour is steadily staying consistent around 1.9 to 2.0. And our OTP is staying consistent around 90%, except for October, we dropped down to 87%. That was mainly in part to the increased ridership that we experienced. It wasn't anticipated at all. But Transdev did a good job of adjusting to that to keep that OTP at average 87%. Next, our complaints is staying steadily consistent. Nothing to be concerned about there. Same thing with compliments. Our eligibility assessments that MTM are doing, they're increasing from FY24. As you can see, July, we more than doubled what we had in July of 2023. August, September, and October as well. So now that those stats, I went over those, I'd like to announce that TransDev has a new general manager for our Copley operations, Don Johnson. He has been here, I think he's in his second week now, so he's adjusting, he's learning the operation, and we look forward to working with him. And next, myself and Diana Hernandez, we've been working on a new access website along with our marketing department. We're putting the final touches on it now, and once everything is finalized and we want to send it out to the committee members via email and ask them, we're going to attach a survey to that. We want to ask them for their input. There'll be various questions to answer, so we could, before we put it out and for the public, we want to get your feedback on that. Lastly, if you look at your packets, there's a letter here. It's a memo. If you remember back in September, I briefed everyone on the do not leave alone policy, that we're going to be phasing that out. We're going to start phasing that out January 1st. This letter is going to be sent to all of our passengers that use the do not leave alone service via mail, USPS. We're letting them know as of January 1st, 2025, they will be grandfathered in for another year. If you're a new access customer as of January 1st, 2025, you will not be offered this service. So those that have that service until 2026, they'll receive a 30-day, 90-day, 60-day, 6-month notification via mail, just to help them plan for any ride changes they may need. So, and that's all I have. If you have any comments, questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. And yeah, that is a significant step to let go of but the new policy says that people that can't be left alone will have to travel with an aide. So and I think that's actually a really positive way. I instead of the do not leave alone system, I think maybe we should call it the bring a buddy system.
Yes, everyone's definitely encouraged to bring a PC, and we let them know that during the eligibility process. So we're just, putting it out a year is giving those families time to prepare and to find alternate plans if they need to.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that has a family member that can't be left alone. And I think it sounds a lot more positive when you think of the benefits of having them travel with a person that they know whose job it is to travel with them. It kind of frames it differently. Other comments, questions? Oh, Todd's got the light up.
Yeah, what I'll do, Charles, is once I get the clean copy from you, I'll send it out to all the agencies that, provide services to our, to the people that we serve, in hopes that, all the caretakers will actually get a copy of it. It's one thing to send it to the client themselves. They may receive supports from, agencies, and they may not always share that information with them. So
yes,
we'll do our best to get it out to everybody as well.
Of course,
so.
I'll send it to you via email.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Well, thank you. And I think that's all of our reports. We've got our next meeting. It says to be determined. It's normally March, wouldn't it be? Yeah. I think we're waiting for the MTS schedule, probably. Is that why it's to be determined?
The meetings are scheduled at the leisure of the chair. So
that's me. But we Yeah, we schedule them to match the MTS schedule, which is that out? For- Okay, okay. And, yeah, so I think that's what we all are thinking, is that we'll want them to be 1 o'clock on the same day that the MTS Board of Directors meets. And if anybody, anybody, sees an issue with that, you can let me or Charles Possible, know, take a look at it. But I think we've done really well with that pattern. And so I'll plan to see I can tell you that the people on MTS are thinking that I could probably continue as chair, but that hasn't been affirmed yet. It has to go to the MTS board. So you'll find out pretty soon. But I definitely have enjoyed being your chair. I don't know if anybody didn't get the report that I didn't get reelected to Lemon Grove City Council, but that MTS gets to put whoever they want as chair of this committee. So I said I'd be happy to continue serving the committee. And it's been an honor and a privilege, and we'll see what the MTS Board of Directors wants to do with that idea. And the last item is adjournment. And thank you. Yes,
Just wanted to, March 13th will be the next scheduled meeting.
March 13th. Thank you. Thank you. And I believe that's it. Thank you all for coming.